Hello friends, now we discuss Indian economy in the books name is Indian Economy for Civil Services, रमेश सिंह के बुक्स. ओके, तो हमने पहले चैप्टर को डिस्कस करेंगे. इंट्रोडक्शन जो चैप्टर इकोनॉमिक्स द डिसिप्लिन. ओके, the body of the discipline starts with the process of definition. Economics is no exception right to this. Okay, but the change of articulating an overarching definition of any discipline has never been an easy task. Okay, about the last half of a century. Okay, the study of economics. The study of economics has included such various topics that the subject serves different purposes to different students of economics. Some study it to make money. Basically, most of the students in the developed world studies economics to earn more money. Okay, but the same is not correct as the case of developing world. The truth is that in the developing world, economics has only been read and taught and not applied. If we do a sweeping generalization, okay, the study economics is to known as poverty, known about economics to know about poverty, unemployment, okay, and human development spheres and debentures, banking norms, prices and their movements, e-commerce, etc. Still, other might be studying the discipline to enhance their knowledge of economics. Economics studies how individuals, firms, governments, and other organizations within our society make choices. Okay, and how these choices determine a society's use of its resources. Human life depends on the consumption of various materials. Okay, various materials which are make up. Human life depends on the consumption of various materials which are made up of the various resources available on Earth. Okay, and there is no limit to human odds. We need infinite resources to gratify our needs, but the resources are limited. Now it is up to the individual and humanity at large as to how do they try to satisfy their competing needs to get fulfilled by the unlimited resource. It means we need to make some choices before we utilize the resource. Okay. The end one has been satisfied with the partial definition. Different economics have been the different discipline, differing perspectives to have the in coming up with differing definitions. At times, a large number of such definitions been either narrow or incomprehensible, but it is necessary to have working definition of the subject is if one intends to study it. Before arriving at our own working definition of the subject, okay, we may cite our two highly acclaimed and internationally established attempts in this direction. Economics is the study of how societies use scarce resource to produce valuable commodities and distribute them among different people. As per the definition, there are two key ideas of economics: the goods and service, and that society must use the resource efficiently. Indeed, economics is an important subject because it in fact of scarcity and the need for efficient use of resources. over the last half of the century, so the study of economics has included such varied topics such as that the subject serves some different purpose of and different students of economics. Okay, some study to make it money. Okay, basically more of the students who develop and discuss earlier. The truth is that developing countries so the study not corrected. The truth is that the developing and the word developing is only been taught, not applied. Okay, you have to discuss clearly if norms, price, e-commerce still okay important. Okay, by prioritizing adding the upon needs in this process, some needs might have to get fulfilled. At the same time, there might be some needs which may be fulfilled again and again with the available resources. Economics is the discipline which studied how individual society and the government make their practice prioritize choices in the process of utilizing the scarce resources to gratify the various needs, okay, and wants of life. Making such choice is as an art of as well as a science. As times change, the choices change. As space change, human needs change. So modify and to modify the changes. After studying and surveying the various choices made by humanity, at large and in different time and sphere, okay, and there evolved the discipline of economics. Economics is an exercise in the space-time continuum, and it deals with living human beings. It is very dynamic subject, and some should only be read in this perspective to have the real feel. The working definition. Okay, it is essential to feel the subject on intend to study. The fundamental way of doing this is starting with the definition of this subject. The definition at times or even most of the times becomes very abstract, jargon laden and technical, such as definition might not give a proper feel and understanding of the subject to a person who does not belong to economics. Most of the students of economics are fulfill difficulty in understanding the complete meanings of definition. Okay, that is why they are very general. Okay, and the definition needed. Okay, needed. Human beings in their day-to-day life are busy doing many things. There are different activities are involved, okay, throughout our lives. These activities fall under the different categories. Economic studies, the economic activity and mankind. Similarly, political, social, administrative politics activities studied under political science, sociology, public administration, respectively. That is why these disciplines are broadly categorized as humanities and as well of them okay, all of them study human activities. There are many more specialized human activities which are studied under many more disciplines. Which activities of mankind are economic activities, the activities which are involved in profit loss, okay, individual involved livelihood, wage, employment, okay, etc. etc. Okay. Today, economics has many branches and study highly diverse economic subject matters, right at the global, micro levels. Economics the study and the economy. The relation between economics and the economy is simply saying is that of theory and practice, while the former is a discipline studying economics behavior of human beings. The latter is a still frame picture where economics will come out with theories of market, employment, and economy is the real picture of the thing which emerges After the application of the theory of this theory, economics at play in the certain region is best defined today of the countries in the Indian economy, the Russian economy, the French economy, the etc. economy as such means nothing. It gets meaning once it is preceded by the name of a country, a nation, a region, or a bloc, etc. When we say developed economics, we mean economics of developed countries. Economics and the economy. It got the meaning of the name of the country. Developed country. Countries of the world might be facing some more common economic challenges. At the same time, they might be facing some more specific challenges. The economics during the period of evolution of economics have suggested some fixed number of theories and methods of solving these economic challenges. Now, it depends upon the choices of the countries as to choice of the country as to which set of principles and theories they select this and for solving their economic challenges. Further, many countries selecting the same remedy and tools to fight the same problem might have similar and dissimilar results during the given period. At the same time, two economists selecting different tools to solve the same economic problem might experience the same results or might experience same result. Basically, we had the same result, completely different results. Why is this so? Basically, economic theories are expectations of human behavior about the economic activity, and as human behavior depends greatly on many internal and external factors, and the results that are likely to have this diversity, the level of and quality of natural resources, the quantity and quality of human resources, the socio-economic milieu, the historical background, the physics of the human resource, etc., are some of the factors which individually as well as collectively impact on economy. While carrying out economic activities, these things make it highly difficult even for economics to forecast the kind of impact of a particular economic policy will have on a particular economic setting. Ultimately, implementation and delivery system has also play a higher vital role in solving economic challenges in the country, which economists started studying up to the 1960s. Therefore, it is correct to say that economics has less diversity than the economics. There will not be any exaggeration if you say that no number two economics of the world are exactly the same, though we might classify them into broader categories like developed and developing, agrarian and industrial, etc. The diversity makes economics a highly interesting discipline. It is through these diverse facts of the economics that economists have been able to modify and remedy their ideas and on the subject of economics. The evolution history of the economics is nothing but modification in the past theories on the basis of the contemporary results and experiences of the economics. results of the experience of the economics. It will be to say this economics has developed out of real life practices, and especially from the evolution of practice in the theory. As practice will be having newer dimensions, the theories of economics will have the newer and more integrated imagination, the dimension. The focus of economics, what is the purpose of the studying by economics, what have they ultimately been trying to articulate, what has been the focus of economics, and the economics in the birth of the discipline. So economics today studies the wide range of issue, okay, and topics. If we take an overall picture, and essence, but being very simple, the betterment of the human life, okay, on earth, improving living condition of the human, okay. Has been ultimate goal of the discipline. It is the purpose of economics have been articulating a number of theories and propositions as to how an economy may maximize its economic potential. And the first and the most famous work in this direction was by Scottish philosopher economic Adam Smith, the Wealth of Nations, 1976. One can trace the origin of the classical school of the economics to this work. Similarly, in the following origin of the classical school of economics in there to this work. Similarly, in the following years and centuries, many outstanding works were produced by the many great economists who were trying to improvise better ways of maximizing the fruits of the economic activity. Economics and the economics have the common goal, searching for possible alternatives for the betterment of the human life. Challenges of the economics. The main challenge of the economy is to fulfill the needs of its population. Every population needs to be supplied with some goods and services for its survival and well-being. These goods might include basic needs of the such as foods, shelter, garments, etc., while it might also consist of refrigerators, air conditioners, cars, medicines, computers, etc. Similarly, the service of the people's need may range from healthcare, drinking water supply, education to advanced and highly sophisticated, such like banking, insurance, airways, telephones, internet, etc. As an economy moves up to the ladder of the development, the processes fulfilling the needs of the population becomes a never-ending phenomena. As an economic activity achieves success in supplying, in supplying one set of goods and services to its population, the population start demanding another set of goods and services which are of the higher order, and thus that thus goes on the struggle of the economy, solving one challenge and focusing on another. The standard of living of one set of the population varies from the another depending upon the attempts and the success of the concerned economics as to which extent they have been able to fulfill the needs of their population. There are two aspects of the challenge that economics face. First, the availability of the goods and services required by the population, and the second is the presence of the supply network. Every economy has to at first guarantee the required levels of goods and services out of the product. Product says for this preferred level of production capacity, bold, which requires a production level of capital formation and or investment, requires Okay, or for capital formation or investment from where the investable for funds will be managed. It is altogether a separate question whether the investment will come from the government, the domestic private sector of the foreigners. Once these details are cleared and selected as per the socio-economic condition of the economy, a proper distribution network for goods and services produced is assured. Distribution of network models. Okay, in the arena distribution network, we have three historically existing models: state market and state markets by mix. In the first types of is distribution system, is the state that takes the sole responsibility of supplying goods and services required by the population, with no payments being done by the consumer. The former Soviet Union and the communist China being the best example. In the second category comes the market mode of distribution, which functions on the basis of price mechanism. In this system, goods and services are made available in the mechanism in this system. Goods and services are made available in the market on the basis of these their demands, and supply. Their prices are determined in the open market, and finally they got distributed to the district population. Then they are distributed to the population. This was the distribution system of capitalist economics. The whole the whole of the of America, the third and the most prevalent mode of distribution. The market mix developed out of the experiences of the former of the two system. This distribution system has certain goods and services which might be made available to the population freely or at the subsidized prices by the state, and some might be supplied by the markets for which consumers need to pay. Almost all economics of the world today follow one of the other kind of distribution system. The socio-economic composition of the population of an economic changes. The mixture of the goods and services to be supplied by the states and the market gets redefined in the economics from time to time. Organizing an economy. One issue which has affected the civilized history of making the most and history of making the most and has been the pointed contentious to is how the production process in an economy should be organized. Production should be mutual of the responsibility, state government, and should it be left altogether to the private sector? Or again, will it be better to carry on production with a joint effort mixture of state and private enterprises, depending upon the dominant views at the time in a particular country? Different forms of production patterns evolved, and different economics system finally come up, providing alternatives way of organizing an economy. In the three models of the economic system which evolved in the course of human history and are basically the different stages of the evolutionary process of the experiment. To define a better way of organizing an economy, we must have the concise overview of the evolutionary process. Capitalist economy, the capitalist forms of the economy as its origin of the famous work of Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, 1776, Adam Smith, 1723 to 1790. Okay, the Scottish philosopher, okay, economics professor of the University of Glasgow, whose writing formed the basis of classical economics. He stressed certain fine ideas which were there to take fancy among the other Western countries, and finally capitalism took birth. Okay, classical economics stressed certain fine ideas were made to take fancy among the others, among some of the Western countries, and finally capitalism took birth. He raised the voice against the heavy-handed government regulation of commercial industry of the time, which did not allow the economy to tap its full economic worth and reach the level of well-being, stressing division of labor and an environment of laissez-faire, non-interference by the government. He proposed that the invisible hand of market forces, the price mechanism, will bring a state of equilibrium in the economy and a general well-being for the countryman. For such an economy to function, the public well-being, he acknowledged the needs of competition in the market. Once the USA attained independence, the ideas of Adam Smith were made part of the public policy. Okay, where Adam Smith were made parts of the public policy. Just 1 year after the Wealth of Nations was published, okay, from here the idea spread to other parts of the Euro-Americans. But by 1800, the economic system called, okay, once the USA attained the independence, the ideas of the world Adam Smith were made part of the public policy. Just 1 year after the Wealth of Nations was published. From here, the idea spread to other parts of the Euro-America by 1800, and the economic system called capitalism, okay, was established, which was later known as different names: private enterprise system, free enterprise system, or market economy. And market decisions of what to product, how much product, okay, what price to sell that are taken by the market, okay, by the private enterprise, with the state having there's no economic role, state economy. Okay, state economy, ठीक है. Okay, state economy rooted in the ideas of historical change, progress, proposed by the German philosopher Karl Marx, 1818 to 1883. More specifically, this kind of economic system first come up to the erstwhile, okay, USSR, okay, after the Bolshevik Revolution, 1917, okay, and got its ideas shaped in the People's Republic of China, 1949. This form of economic system also spread to other countries in Europe, Eastern Europe. Here we see two versions of the state economy. The erstwhile USSR, known as the socialist economy, and in the 1985 China, communist economy. While socialist economy emphasized collective ownership, important it is. Okay, collective ownership of the means of production Ownership of the collective ownership of the means of economics, means of production, means of production, property and assets. It also describes a large role of the states to the it describes ascribed a large role of the states in the running of the economy, while communist economy on the other hand advocated the state ownership of all properties, including the labor, which absolute power to state in running the economy. Though for Marx, socialism was a transitional stage to communication. Okay, it never did happen in reality. Basically, this for a form of economy come in reaction to the prevalent popular economic system of capitalism, and proposed the opposite. The decisions related to production, supply, and prices were all suggested to be taken solely again by the private state only. The such economies were also known as capitalist centralized economy, centrally planned economy, or non-market economy. Supply and prices were all suggested to be taken solely by the state only. Okay, such economy is a centralized economy. Okay, and advocate the state ownership of all the properties, including labor, absolute power of the part to state in running the state economy. Though the Marx socialism was transitional stage of it never did happen in reality. Basically, in this form of economies can come in reaction to the civil and popular economic system of capitalism, and proposed just the opposite. The decision related to production, supply, and prices were all suggested to the taken solely by the state only. Such economies are also known as the centralized economy, centrally planned economy, and non-market economy. So the socialist and communist economies were used to criticize. Socialist and communist economy used to criticize capitalist economy. Okay, socialist economy criticize capitalist economy of the being based on exploitation. In response, the capitalist economy also called the practice called the practitioners of the state capitalism. Where the state was the sole exploiter. Again, state sole exploiter. The communist and anti-communist propagandas resulted in serious intellectual discussion among almost until the mid 1980s up to mixed economy. The belief of the self-correcting quality and of the market, and the invisible band of Adam Smith got a major setback in the early 20th century. During the Great Depression, 1929, the impact of the depression spread all over from the USA to other economies of Western Europe, as calculating large-scale unemployment, the downfall of the in demand and economic activities, and lookouts in industrial enterprises. The prevailing Smithsonian macro ideas failed to check the unicides. The new approach was generated come into famous work, the general theory of the employment, interest, and money, in 1936 by the English economist at Cambridge University, John Maynard Keynes, 1883 to 1946. Keynes questioned the very principle of leisure trade of the nature. Okay, the invisible hand. Okay, he opened that the invisible hand bring equilibrium to the economy, but by strengthening, strangulating the poor. He suggests that prices, and wages are not flexible enough to provide employment to all. It means there will be some people unemployed when the economy will be at its full potential. Ultimately, a fall in demand will be imminent, resulting in recession and if unchecked in depression, which happened in 1929. Questioning the limitation of the market mechanism and suggested the strong governmental intervention of the economy to get the economy out of the depression. He struggled, suggested an increase in government expenditures, okay, discretionary fiscal policy, final deficit, lower interest rates, cheap money supply, etc., to boost the demand of goods and services. As this was the real matter behind the depression. As Keynesian policies were followed, the concerned economies were successfully piloted the Great Depression. Okay. uh, while Keynes was inquiring into the causes and cures of the Great Depression, he questioned the capitalist economic system being practiced throughout Euro America. He suggested the capitalist order to assimilate the goals of the socialist economy. Okay, economic ideals of the socialist. That is example of USSR. The capitalist economies of at the time. All the basic goods and services were part of the market economy that is being produced and that is being produced. Okay, this is concerned. That is market mechanism that is being produced and supplied by the private sector. It means that almost everything in the vehicle sector was supplied with the private enterprises. Okay, that is the market which ultimately an undimensional movement of money and wealth from the mass of people to the who control the production and supply chain, and the masses were going through the process of the perversion every day, thereby weakening their purchasing power. In the end, it affected the overall demand and culminated the Great Depression. Okay, all the and the follow up the Keynesian advices, the many trend-setting economic and policies were initiated throughout the capitalist economy. One very important initiative which come out was for government active government's active role in the economy. The government at the same time started producing and supporting some basic goods and services which were known as public goods. Okay, these were basically intended to guarantee minimum level of nutrition to all healthcare, sanitation, education, social security, etc. The health expenditure of public goods were incurred on the public exchequer, even if it record deficit financing starting from the 1930s up to 1950. Almost 50% of the GDP in the Euro America was spent by the government on the public goods. Okay, which also became popular to the known to as popular as the social sector. The essential goods and services which were till that being purchased with the people of the private goods, were soon made available by the free of cost, giving people more spare money to create demand for the goods and services which are part of the market. The above instance has been cited here just to show the process of how capitalism redefined itself by including more useful traits of the non-market economy. That is the trade economy, the mixed economy arrived in this way, and the classical capitalistic economy were challenged by it. On the margin of this development, it is interesting to note that the developments that occurred in the trade economies. Of the time, it is Oscar Lange. Okay, 1963. In 1965, Oscar Lange, the Polish philosopher, who is trying to suggest the same thing for the socialist economy, as Keynes has suggested for the capitalistic economy. Okay, praised the state economy for many of its good things, but also suggested inclusion of the same good things of the capitalist economy. Okay. Okay, the good things, but the same good thing to the capitalist economy. He advised the state economy to adopt market socialism. The term economy as such compromises the socialistic economy were vice famous of the time at the time. This was taken as a suggestion towards the democracy from the dictators, as Keynes has suggested that the capitalist economy should move few steps towards the socialistic economy. Lange was suggesting just the same in the case of the state economics. Democrats are flexible, thus die. The Democrats are flexible, thus they were able to go for an experiment which failed them in coming times, but as the socialistic and communist political system has been stubborn by nature, they did not go for any experiment, and thus started moving toward their economy to decay. It was in communist China under the leadership of the Mao Zedong, okay, from where the first opinion come against the total state economic control. The ultimate example of the state economy, that is China, started the preparation toward the initiative market economy under the political designated design of the okay. In 1985, China announced the open door policy, the experiment in the market socialism, had the first last and all of other state economics got unprepared. Following the Chinese experiment towards the market socialism, however, the switch over the market socialism has been smooth for most of the state economy. Okay, the Chinese experience of the market socialism, however, the switch of the market socialism has been smooth for most of the state economies. The efforts towards the market socialism in the Soviet Union have been fueled by the lofty ideas of Glasnost, fitness, and Satrika restructuring resulted in the very disintegration of the national nation state. The experts consider it a political fallout of an economic mismanagement. The other should economy experience major economic breakdowns in the transition phases of two market socialism. Basically for smooth transitions to market socialism, some prerequisites were required to be put in place fraud. China was well ahead doing the homework since Mao's time, specifically since 1975 onwards, which emerged as a real winner. The ideal type example of state economy, getting smoothly metamorphosed, into a giant market economy. These two events, spanning many decades, were nothing but timely and rational selection of economic traits from each other's economic system and experience. The world by the late 1980s was having neither the pure example of capitalistic economy nor the of a state economy. There were many states the world that they opted the mixed economy for a mixed economy in the post Second World War. The period after coming out of the colonial rule such as India, Malaysia, the restricted to name a few. The leadership of these countries, which could be considered the visionaries, which was the prevailed the mid 1980s. 90s. Though the practical level, the world looked flat of the for the mixed economy model. The formal opinion we got goodness immediately for the ultimately viability of the market economic system, and it emerged the first such alternative of opinion in this direction come to from the World Bank, okay, which accepted the goodness of the need, okay, of star intervention of the economy. Okay, this was a turning point of the world economics thinking, as the World Bank and International Monetary Fund ever ardent voterize, okay, and virtual of the free market economy. The concluding consensus emerged with the publication of the World Development Report 1910, emerging entering 21st century, in which the World Bank said the government to play a vital role in development, but there were no simple set of rules that tells the World Bank went on to suggest every country should determine the areas and the extent of the market and the state intervention depending upon its own stage of the economic development, socio-political and other historical factors. The last World Bank document had basically rejected both the historical and existing economic orders, namely the free market economy and the state economy. Okay, which meant so Adam Smith and Karl Marx were cancelled or rejected outrightly. Yeah, that too on the basis of the historical experiences on both the world. Okay, other the documents advocates for the mixture of the both the economics orders, that is mixed economy. The long-standing ideology dilemma as to whether the market economy or the state economy was the or the best way of the organizing the economy was solved for all times to come. The document pinpointed good things on both the systems of and concluded that they don't have the relationship of dichotomy, but they are but that have complementary. The real issue is not whether to have market or the state, but having both of them together makes more sense. Market economy might suit our one economy, okay, well it might not stay sweet another due to different socio-economic conditions of the economy in difference. Similarly, the state economy model might serve as one economy but might not serve the other. Okay, the real answer of same going to neither the market nor the state, but judicious mix of both. As a state market mix, okay, depth depends on the upon dust. The state market mix depends upon socio-economic and political conditions of the economy. There can never be a mechanical prototype of the mixed economy which could be applied upon every man economy universally. Every economy needs to explore its own mixture of market and state. Again, the same state might need to redefine composition of the state market mix in the coming times according to its changes socio-economic political scenario. The process of economic reforms in India started 1991. In economic reforms, okay, it was in fact it's the search for the new state market economy mix, state market mix. While India and had been a mixed economics economy since independence. After the independence, India opened a mixed economy, which the state market dilemma, the big globally in the process of from fragmented organizing the economy, some basic infrastructure economic responsibilities. So thank you friends, इतना तक कंप्लीट कर लिया और फिर हम नेक्स्ट चैप्टर में डिस्कस करेंगे. Okay, so